Hey everyone, Mary here. So we are in the throngs of job fair season. So if you haven't attended one of these live events in a long time, or perhaps you're like me, an introvert, and you're a little overwhelmed by having to go into a place with tons of people around, introducing yourself over and over and over again, talking about yourself can all be a very overwhelming process. So you might think, there's got to be some tips available that can help you navigate through a job fair experience successfully. I do want to share my 4 tips with you all. And before I get into those 4 tips, I want you to subscribe below so you can gain notification when we have videos that are very helpful around the job search process. Typically, we have these videos available twice a week. So if you click on subscribe as well as that little bell below, you won't miss out when we upload the latest and greatest. Okay, so the first tip that I'd like to share, you want to go in having a plan. You know where you're going, you know what companies you're going to see. Ideally, you're going to know how long you want to be there. Quite frankly, you're setting a goal and a purpose for your attendance at the event. For someone like me, as an introvert, I really am not that comfortable in crowds. But I know it's super important to have an idea who I'd like to see and learn about when I'm there. So as much as possible, you should get a list, or at least access or see the list of the employers that are attending a job fair ahead of time. And a lot of these places have it listed on a website, or perhaps it's shared in the collateral when you're walking in the door. And you can take some time either right there on the spot before you go out and meet everybody, or in advance, looking through the website to see which employers are there and which ones you would like to meet. You want to have a plan to be the best use of your time. So for example, for me, if I were attending a job fair, I know that I'm not going to go around to every single table to meet people or to learn about opportunities or to interview. I'm going to want to maybe narrow it down to the 5 to 10 companies maybe that I want to meet with because I'm most interested in them. And then make it a point to look on the map of the exhibition hall and see where they are. Go ahead and make sure I have enough resumes with me and that sort of thing. Some of you may not like that approach. It's too short or maybe too targeted. You want to really spend your time and you have more time to actually go meet people. That's fine. I still recommend having a look at the list of employers that are attending, and then also checking in with yourself to know, okay, so what exactly do I want to accomplish by being here? Another good thing to remember, you shouldn't always think that the goal is to be ready for an interview on site. A lot of employers may not be offering that. They might just be sending representatives from their company to do like a meet and greet, share general information about the company, but they may not be equipped to answer questions about specific job requisitions or postings that are online. And that's okay. I mean, the idea is an opportunity to meet them, somebody live and direct from the company. You just gotta roll with it, So the second helpful tip in navigating a job fair and being successful at it is that you have to be interview ready, okay? So first would be, you have to look the part. So I would recommend that if you are planning to stop by a job interview, that you're actually dressed appropriately for it. What does that mean? Do you have to wear a full suit or, full pantsuit for a woman or whatever the case might be? No, not necessarily, but you want to be dressed professionally enough for, the environment, that you look presentable, that people will take you seriously, and that, you're representing yourself well to a future employer. So I say this because in Hawaii, quite often, these job fairs are open to the public. Anyone can roll in. You don't necessarily have to RSVP. And people roll into these large halls and they're wearing flip-flops and shorts, maybe beach attire, getting information on the future employer. And that's not really the most professional image that's out there. So as much as possible, you should dress professionally, or at least, business casual, maybe a little bit better than that, but certainly you don't have to wear a full suit unless you really want to. But have a good image that speaks well to you and that you're a serious candidate. So the other aspect of being interview ready is that you have all your supplies with you. So these supplies, what I mean by that would be several copies of your resume. If you have business cards, those as well, but certainly have many copies of your resumes to hand out. People are there and they want to refer to something as you're telling them about your background, and it's a lot easier to just hand over a piece of paper. Also, they have tablets available where you can just access that information online. Be ready to do that if possible. The main thing here is that you have it available. You can hand it over to the person as you're speaking a bit about yourself. So you definitely also want to have pens, something to write with, something that's professional in nature. I wouldn't say like purple and green pens and pink pens, which, that's something that I would actually do because I love colorful pens. Bringing them with you to a job fair is really the recommended thing. You should probably stick with the more conservative and traditional blue and black ink kind of pens so you can write notes down. Have your supplies, your resumes, and your business cards and like scratch paper available and organized neatly, and make it very accessible, so that if you have to take notes, a really seamless action. Interview ready actually brings us to the third point, which is, one, you're going to be ready to talk about your own background. So your elevator pitch is ready to go to present yourself to different representatives. But also with companies that interest you, you want to have certain questions ready for them. You're actually gaining face time one-on-one with a representative from a company. In today's age, we don't get a lot of those interactions. A lot of times we're sending something on the internet and hoping someone contacts us back. A situation where we're actually speaking with somebody live and direct who can actually either give advice or maybe answer questions specifically to you. So you want to take advantage of that as much as possible. So know exactly what you're going to say if it's a case where you'll need to pitch yourself and your background, but also know what kind of questions and things you'd like to follow up with. Always ask for the person's business card or contact information, and when you have that, quickly write notes down on the back of the card explaining anything that you can help remember the conversation, maybe certain topics or touch points. Ask if it's okay to send them an email to follow up here and there. I know that I've attended events and people have given me their business cards and I've exchanged it, and all of a sudden I'm on somebody's mega list for information, which I didn't necessarily consent to, but I guess people just assume it. And I personally don't like it. I don't think it creates a good impression. It's always good to ask for permission. If you can contact that person, follow up the conversation to see if they can help you or point you in the right direction. Okay, so the last tip that I'd like to share with you is something that many of us don't do good of a job as we should. You definitely need to make the time to follow up, not just one contact and that's it. While I think that that's still a good approach to send some sort of communication within 24 hours and thanking them for their time, you really do want to make it as personal as you can, reflecting on maybe touch points that you'd written on the card from your conversation, so it's a little more human. Beyond a 24-hour, thank you communication, networking at these events, it's far more than just a one-time interaction. You want to have these conversations so that it's comfortable, that you can refer back to them for questions in multiple conversations. Not an awkward thing if you're asking them for help or you're following up at multiple times in the future. It's really a communication dialogue, and that's the mindset that you need to have. Just like you walk into a job fair and realize that it's not necessarily going to happen that you're interviewed on the spot and given a job, you're walking into this event because you're meeting someone who can be a contact that can help further that interaction way beyond just the one-time meeting. So think of that when you are following up with people. You might want to, within 24 hours, send an email out to them, and then maybe a week later, you share an article or something that you found to be really interesting or had a follow-up question on, and that you can continue the dialogue beyond just the one interaction. Because that's really what these job fairs are about. It's not just finding a job, but it's actually establishing contacts and networking. So you want to make those interactions as deep as they can be and meaningful when you meet people. So those are my 4 tips. I would love to hear if you guys would like to add more to that, or what your experience has been when you've attended a job fair. Comment below, and I'm happy to read them and I'll respond back. I do try to review things quickly and get back to you. For now, that's where we are, and I would love to hear about your job fair experiences so far. And yeah, until our next video, happy job search and happy job fair attendance to you all. All right, guys, take care.